Today you will be traveling with Mauro and Histories. The Cayman Islands and Jamaica are two completely different islands in the Caribbean. See, with two completely different histories. But what many people do not know is that the Cayman Islands used to be a part of Jamaica, so why aren't they a part of Jamaica today? And how come the Cayman Islands have their own flag? Well, there's a lot more to this story than meets the eye. So let's go back in time to find out exactly how the Cayman Islands became its own country. In order to understand how the Cayman Islands broke away from Jamaica, we first need to go back in time to 1670, when the island was originally discovered by the Spanish, who named it Los Caymanes, or the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands actually consists of three separate islands: Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, and Little Cayman. But despite being three separate islands, they were all collectively known as one territory. When the Spanish first arrived, the islands were uninhabited, but that didn't last for long. Soon after, the Cayman Islands became a popular destination for pirates, such as Henry Morgan, who would use the islands as a base of operations due to its strategic location and proximity to the Spanish Main. Fast forward a few years later to 1670, when Jamaica was seized by the British and the Cayman Islands became a dependency of Jamaica and was formally annexed into the British Empire. At the time, the Cayman Islands were still a small, sparsely populated territory with a population of around 1,000 people. And because of this, it was decided that the Cayman Islands should remain under the control of Jamaica. It was ruled that the governor of Jamaica would also be responsible for the administration of the Cayman Islands. This arrangement continued until 1863, when the Cayman Islands were officially separated from Jamaica and became a dependency of the neighboring colony of Barbados. Despite being separated from Jamaica, the Cayman Islands continued to maintain close ties with the rest of the island. In fact, during the 19th century, wood industry boomed in the Cayman Islands, and Jamaicans would often travel to the Cayman Islands to work in the industry. By the early 20th century, the Cayman Islands had become a popular tourist destination due to its beautiful beaches, crystal clear waters, and abundant marine life. But the Cayman Islands was still a British colony, and their economy was still dependent on the tourism industry. However, everything changed in 1962 when Jamaica finally gained independence from the British. Now, as we mentioned earlier, the Cayman Islands had been a dependency of Jamaica since 1670, and its status would change hands several times over the years. But with Jamaica now independent from Britain, the question of what would happen to the Cayman Islands had to be addressed. Would the Cayman Islands now become a part of independent Jamaica, or would they follow a different path? Well, in the end, the Cayman Islands chose to remain a British overseas territory instead of becoming a part of independent Jamaica. Now, this might seem like an odd decision at the time, but there are a few reasons behind this. First and foremost, the vast majority of Cayman Islanders at the time wanted to remain British. In fact, when Jamaica gained independence, only 21% of Cayman Islanders wanted to join Jamaica, while 74% wanted to remain British. There were several reasons for this. For one, many Cayman Islanders felt a stronger sense of identity with Britain than they did with Jamaica. After all, they had been under British rule for much longer than they had been under Jamaican rule. Additionally, the Cayman Islands had a significant amount of self-governance, and many Cayman Islanders feared that if they were to join Jamaica, their autonomy would be threatened. Finally, there was a sense of fear among Cayman Islanders that if they were to join Jamaica, they would become politically and economically marginalized. After all, Jamaica was a much larger and more populous country than the Cayman Islands, and many Cayman Islanders feared that their interests would be overshadowed by those of the Jamaicans. As a result of these fears and desires, the Cayman Islands was granted a high degree of autonomy and was officially separated from Jamaica in 1962. Today, the Cayman Islands is a British overseas territory with its own government, legislature, and judicial system. Despite being a British overseas territory, the Cayman Islands has maintained good relations with Jamaica. In fact, both countries are members of the Commonwealth of Nations and the Association of Caribbean States. But why does the Cayman Islands have its own flag then, if it was a part of Jamaica? Well, each overseas territory within the British Overseas Territories collection has their own unique flag. The current flag of the Cayman Islands was adopted in 1961 before Jamaica's independence in 1962. The flag features a blue field with three green stripes, representing the three main islands of the territory, and a black disc in the center representing the sea. The green stripes were later replaced with red in 1999, which represents courage, determination, and hard work. The flag also features a white border which symbolizes unity, peace, and harmony among the people of the Cayman Islands. If you're wondering about the shape of the flag, you may be thinking that it looks a bit weird. That's because the Cayman Islands was one of the first territories to adopt a non-rectangular flag. The shape of the flag is actually based on the shape of the Cayman Islands themselves, which are made up of three separate islands. The flag's unique shape is meant to symbolize the island's distinct identity and its people's sense of unity and pride. So overall, despite being a British overseas territory, the Cayman Islands has a unique flag that symbolizes its distinct identity and sense of pride among its people. Now, besides the Cayman Islands, Jamaica has actually had quite a few other territories that were once a part of them. So here's a quick list of other territories that were once a part of Jamaica. The Bahamas before Jamaica gained independence in 1962. The Bahamas were a part of the British West Indies Federation, a short-lived political union of several Caribbean islands, including Jamaica, when the federation dissolved. The Bahamas became a separate British colony and eventually gained independence in 1973. The Turks and Caicos Islands. Like the Cayman Islands, the Turks and Caicos Islands were also a part of Jamaica before gaining independence. However, unlike the Cayman Islands, the Turks and Caicos Islands did not choose to remain a British dependency. Instead, they were incorporated into the Dominion of Canada in 1965, along with the Bahamas. They were later transferred to the United Kingdom as a British overseas territory in 1976. British Honduras. Today, British Honduras is known as Belize. It was a British colony that was located on the Caribbean coast of Central America. The territory was first settled by the British in the 18th century and was originally known as British Honduras. In 1973, the name was changed to Belize. In 1981, Belize gained independence from Britain, and today it is a sovereign country within the Commonwealth of Nations. And that's where we'll end today's video. If you enjoyed watching, please hit that like button. Also make sure to subscribe so you can be notified when we upload a new video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.